Fatima, a common name in northern Nigeria. But my cry today is my sisters, my daughters, my nieces, my cousins, who are right there in northeast Nigeria, dying, not having access to health care. Why? Because the boys we call BH, and in Hausa we call them Yaram Malam, that is the teacher's children, are not making it any easier for these sisters of mine, for these daughters of mine, for my cousins, and for me who wants to assist. Not to sadden you, I'm born by a Hausa man and a Fulbe woman. A lot of Nigerians know Fulani women, right? My mother is Fulani. Maybe that's why I have this structure. Very common with us. But then, I had a fantastic time growing up. A lot of fun moments to share. Well, because I was born between two boys, I was behaving like a boy. Yes, though behaving like a boy, but I had to behave like a girl. Not easy. I spent my time going to Islamia school. That's what we call the Quranic education school. And the Western education school, what we call Makarantam Boko. Now you know where the Boko comes from. Yes. After that, like any other African child, female child, you go to the kitchen to help mom. An area I don't really like any other child. But after that, especially Thursdays and Fridays when we don't have Islamia school closing from Makarantam Boko, I joined my brothers to climb trees and ride bicycles. I was the best climber, though amongst two boys. I do the climbing, pluck the mangoes and the guavas. The boys pick the fruits, and we take home and share. A fantastic time. I was the defender of my brothers, though small in stature, because I had my mouth to speak. So, but then, this lovely childhood of mine in my primary school was a little bit touched. Why? Because my dearest friend in primary school had to be given away in marriage after our primary school. I felt hurt. It still hurts. I attended the ceremony, but that was the last I saw of my friend, because I was not allowed to visit her for fear of influencing her to go to school. Because I had parents who would tell me that you must read. And my mom, we had a name for her, not to her knowledge. Very strict. She would say, pick your book. I said, Mom, no homework today. She said, I know, but pick it. She never went to school. But she will say, pick your book, look at what you were taught today, so when you go back to school tomorrow, you don't look like a fool. Do it, read it. She was very strict. And she had to be, because my dad will always leave her go fend for the family. My father was a search person for indigenous musicians in Nigeria. So you can imagine the kind of work he was doing. So she was strict and insisted that what I was not able to do, you must do, being the first daughter. So I must read, but I must help. But then I was still thinking of that friend of mine. We were very close. We share a surname, so people thought we were even sisters. But I said, Mom, do you know what I want to be? She said, no, I want to be a nurse. She said, why? But then, you being a nurse, you are like an outcast, because they think nurses know too much and they're wayward. But that was what I wanted to be. But because I had parents who were very supportive, they said, look, go ahead, go and read. Go and be a nurse. I became a nurse, but I still think of that, my friend. Somehow, fast forwarding my story, we met during a trade fair in Kaduna. She was able to recognize me, but I wasn't able to recognize her. Then I was expecting my first child. When we got talking, she was expecting her eighth. And I looked at her, I said, oh, we would have been together, because then I was already a teacher in the School of Midwifery. But then I said, what do I do? To people like my friend, if I cannot get her out now, it's late with 8 children, can I help others do it? How do I do it? Then I found myself in Society for Family Health, which is a Nigerian NGO managed by purely Nigerians. And I said, yes, this is my opportunity. I grabbed it because I knew this is where I'm going to meet my friend. You know it, in northern Nigeria, especially northeast, girls are given away at 14. At 14, I was climbing trees. But at 14, my daughter, my cousin, is a mother or a mother-to-be without any information. And in our kind of culture in Africa, that's what we call the kunya concept in Hausa. Kunya means shy. You don't look people in the eyes and talk to them. Not to talk about you being pregnant and having issues with pregnancy, because you must have done something to get pregnant, isn't it? And must not be discussed. Sexuality must not be discussed openly. And if you must talk about pregnancy, it means you are talking about sexuality. So imagine that 14-year-old girl, pregnant, mother-to-be, dictated to, and has to take permission to do whatever she wants to do. I never went through that. I was given the chance to be a child. I was given the chance to be an adolescent. So much so my dad would teach me how to dance. I used to wear denim all through from head. Remember the Oliver Twist cap? You know the Michael Jackson cap? Yes, I was wearing the Michael Jackson cap with my very white trousers. And I go to parties. My dad dropped me. So I was able to be an adolescent, well guarded. But I look at these young girls, they never had the chance. I was able to discover me, but they were never given the chance. What do I do? In my work as a midwife, in my work as a program person, I found that outlet to pull out that friend of mine. And we're doing it, leading by Society for Family Health. We're getting a group of young girls within that age cohort. I'm happy the last speaker showed us the large number of youths, 700 million. And out of these 700 million, larger percentage are females who are like that friend of mine. We get them in groups for them to air out. A lot of programs will bring women of reproductive age, wide range, 15 to 49. But in a kind of setting, a girl of 14, 15 is having babies. Her mother, who is 38, 39, is having babies. And yet, the kunya concept is there. So she cannot talk when you put them together. So we had to create a space for these young girls where they can open up and tell us their concerns, where they can learn how to negotiate with their husbands and their mother-in-laws. I'm sure you know the strength of a mother-in-law. I'm a mother-in-law in the making because I have a 22-year-old son. but I pray I will have the right influence. But mother-in-laws have strong influence. And you can't imagine putting a mother-in-law and her daughter-in-law in the same forum and she airs her views, right? She wouldn't do it. So, but because we identified that, we had to create space for these young girls to talk, teach them how to negotiate. And one very important thing, how to manage little amount of money they get. Because my belief is, if you are able to negotiate, you have a little bit of money. You are now what? A small entrepreneur in your own way. And that empowers you. And with a lot of information, you get that empowerment. It's not enough to have money. I tell my people that is empowerment. No. You must be empowered in the mind. Then you get the finance, then you get the negotiation skills, then you are empowered. Like I've been empowered. I am married, I have my children, but I'm here today because I got the support from my dad, my mom, my husband. And I want that for those children. I want that for those girls because I want to pull that friend of mine out. How did we do it? To support these young girls, we have traditional birth attendants. I'm sure some of you know what they are. We call them Ngwanzoma in Hausa. Highly respected group of women who have learned the art of pregnancy care and childbirth and are well respected by the menfolk and the community. What do? When these girls are ready to attend antenatal clinic, they escort these women to the clinics because they know the environment. They can speak for them. Take a girl there once, twice, the third time she's able to go herself. She gets information. How does she get there? Our African terrain, especially the rural area, northeast, northwest, is tough. We have this group of gentlemen under the umbrella of Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers. Taxi owners, privately owned. We got them together to be able to support moving these young women to the clinics, to access antenatal care. When they're in labor, they're being moved. And when their babies are sick, they get to the hospital just to get that care. You will ask me, do we pay them? No. The union devised an incentive process for them. You take a woman to the facility, the hospital, you get a priority loading because priority loading means money. And most of them I spoke with, they said, our joy is in this. When we take a woman who is in labor to the hospital, most times, if it's a boy, the child is named after us. Yes, and for us Africans, this is great. For somebody to be named their child after you, it's big. So this is really going on in Nigeria. We're happy with it. Some governments have seen the beauty of it and have been able to buy tricycles to pick women. But what will 3 tricycles do in a local government that has over 500,000 people, of which about 15% to 20% are women who will need the services? So the work the NURTW, that is the taxi owners, are doing is key in this and is helping my young girls to access care. And I hope and pray, and I can say it, the clouds are dark, but there are silver linings. That one day, these girls will sing the song of Jimmy Cliff, where he sang, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. And all the bad feelings have disappeared. There is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be bright, bright, sunshiny days. So I hope. And while they're singing this song, some others will say, the mother-in-laws, will say, oh, right now, we're happy to be Africans, and we're Africans that are a lot wiser. And I pray and hope you join me in my fight. Thank you.